Hello and welcome to another video, or my first video I should say, on how to write output to the command line using PowerShell. I thought it'd be good to just write the do the first video on writing to the command line and just writing hello world. So simple. It's what nearly everyone starts off with when they start programming, or at least I did when I was writing a little bit of Java. And so I thought I'd show you the different methods of writing to this command line, which it can be quite useful for things like troubleshooting. So I just thought I'd start off with using echo and write because they're simple enough, they're short and easy to remember. So say echo, write hello world, outputs it to the screen, and then write. Be good if I spell it right. Hello world, and that writes it to the screen as well. And I thought it'd be interesting to see what it looks like when you take away the quotation marks for both. And in theory and in practice, they both do the same thing because they are actually just aliases for write dash output. So if I show you write dash output hello world with the quotation marks, does the same thing as you could expect, and then without does the same thing. But what I'm interested in is why it actually splits it into two different lines, and in my head I haven't actually googled this or anything. I'm thinking it possibly treats it as two different objects. So if I did something like write dash output, maybe it's count, or I don't know if that's a thing I can do, perhaps not. Ignore that. So that was writing to the screen. A similar command to write output, write and echo is actually write dash host. Write dash host. And if you wanted to abbreviate it to write, you can't, because write is specifically saved for write dash output. So if you did write dash host, hello world, writes it to the console. Same if you take away these quotation marks, it writes it to the console, but this time it doesn't actually do a new line, which I was surprised about, and what I would like to know why it treats it as two different items when you do write dash output. But yeah, this literally just outputs it to the command line. So you could do this. You could definitely use this for troubleshooting in terms of you could pipe it at the end, like I've got in the example in the script where I've saved the variable $process equals get dash process. I'm setting that variable to be the whatever the output is of get dash process. So if I just run that command, I'll show you an example of this, and then if I use process, I can see what that variable is set as. If I wanted to use write dash host, which actually isn't necessarily necessary, but you could use write dash host at the end of any kind of command that you're using in a script, for example, to see what the actual output is at that time, which will help you understand the code a little bit better and to troubleshoot it, I'd find. But if I run this now, you can see there's a bit of a difference, is that it just outputs the name of that process, and they are very similar. Like you can see here, if you scroll up, the names are all listed here at the side, and it just outputs that one name. It's a bit different if you were going to use the write output process. So if I comment that out again and then just run it with the write dash output, and you want to see the process, then you can see that it's actually taking all the information, and it's not just writing it to the console, but you can use these objects and you can manipulate them when you're outputting with write dash output. And I bet you're thinking, what's the point in that? I mean, let's just show you that it's the same without that. There you go. they're the same. You're right, what is the point in using write-output to display it when you can just do $process? And honestly, it's built in and it's not really that necessary anymore. Write-host is a little bit more useful when you want to display text to the console, because it will just output it no matter what it is. It could be an error message, it'd be quite interesting to see. But yeah, you could just see the variable because it's a built-in function. It's much easier to see. But you can manipulate it with write-output or write or echo, whatever you want to use. So we've got write-output process, and now if I just wanted to select the name, like select dash property name, it should show me the process name. Let's have a quick look. There we go. So it's basically very similar to write-host in that respect, where it's just very simple, but you can then manipulate the names a little bit further, do what you want. I won't go too much further into that. Other things that you can use, or in terms of using write commands in PowerShell, there's lots. You can use write dash debug error. I quite like this write dash error because it's interesting to see the different things that it displays. So you can define what exception you want to write. I'm going to say, what do I want to even write? Write dash error exception string too long. Why not? And you can see that that's actually wrote to the screen what you've defined it to be, and then you can even set the ID of this error. Really interesting. You say error 1 and you'll see that under the fully qualified. Oh, I actually wrote an error. Maybe it wasn't a thing. So here are the different types that you can use. You can see my actual error up above. Write dash host, write dash information, output, progress. I mean, I'm sure you can just as and when look them up. If you're scripting and there's a specific thing you're trying to do, then one of them must be relevant. There's a lot more information in the Microsoft Documents sites, which I've kind of tried to read through a little bit in terms of getting some background information on these. Definitely really useful. I mean, it has most of the information, or all of the information that you actually need, but really is just more fun to play around and try and figure it out when you're just scripting as and when. Clicked on something wrong, but that's basically as much as I can think of in terms of showing you the write functions. So basically the main points I'd say to take away from this is the difference between write-output and write-host, and the good thing about write-output is that it sends the data through the pipeline as an object, so you can actually manipulate it, and then write-host literally just outputs that text to the command line, so you can use it in terms of if you're writing a script and you're like, well, at this part of the script I'm not getting any error messages. You might have it in a try catch by accident, and if or an else statement, the else statement might be empty, but you can basically just write dash host, or even just write the variable what you want to know with that variable, and not output the text that should be displaying at that point for that variable. And then write dash output would be taking the variable that you might know, so you're more sure of yourself, and then using that for something different, or using that for something to be used within the script that you're writing. Otherwise, I think that's as much information as I can give you right now. If you want to find anything else out, or you want me to find anything else out, I can definitely make a video on it. Just let me know what I might have missed out, what you'd be interested in hearing about, and I will search that up. Thanks for watching. Beep, and here come the bloopers. So when I was actually testing to find out why it does a new line when you use write-output, write or echo to display text of command line, it's actually because it treats everything like an object, which actually makes a whole lot of sense, because as I've explained a little bit earlier, or maybe a little bit later in the video, because as I've explained, the write-output sends the data through the pipeline as an object. So when you do write-output hello space world without quotation marks, it treats both hello and world as an object. So using that measure to count how many objects are actually in the pipeline, you can see there are 2. Whereas if you did write-host, if you did write-host hello world measure, it would probably come out as 1, or it comes out as 0, because there are no objects. It's not treating as an object, it's literally just displaying that text to the screen. So you can't actually manipulate it like you would an object. So it's really useful to know the difference between both write-output and write-host, and I probably stressed that so much in this video. But yeah, very interesting, a revelation to me, so I'm glad I found that out creating this video. So in terms of the write-error situation we were actually having, basically found that it was just not writing. I wasn't writing the correct the dash bit. So instead of just doing ID, I need to do write-error, the message that, or the title that we wanted the error stream to display, and then dash error ID, and then whatever you wanted the error ID to actually be. So for the example that I wrote now, I've done write-error quotations. We mess it up a little bit, and then the error ID is 21, because why not? Random number, good age. So yeah, that is the fix for that, and the reason why. And the error ID just specifies, can't talk, an ID string to identify the error. And I found this information off of the Microsoft Docs again, which is really useful. Thank you again for watching. Bloopers are the best. Bloopers are the